What was the biggest challenge that you faced in your career?
I think that last thing I mentioned, probably. I mean, after having access to the top person and the division heads, the senior vice presidents of a couple of the major thing, and then I have a boss coming in and say, you can't talk to him anymore. I would take several of my crew over to talk to him because he would tell me what was going on, what their plans were for the next 6 months, you might say. And I didn't have that access anymore. I get it informally maybe, but I mean, I couldn't sit down with 2 or 3 of staff people. So I'd say that was the biggest problem that I ever had in PR. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Mm-hmm. So going over to AT&T was sort of a breath of fresh air in that regard. Mm-hmm. I could.
Right.
Well, I was asked to set certain things up, and I just did it. You know, mm-hmm. The foundation, things of that nature.
Okay. Let's see here. What time? What do we have here? I should have worn a watch.
9 after.
Okay. All right. Okay, I asked all that.
One of the more interesting things I did, junior achievement. You may have heard of junior achievement.
Oh, yes.
We had one in New York, and it wasn't doing too well, and so New York Tel guy who was involved got a hold of me and said, Bob, could you get involved? So I went over there and ended up becoming president of Junior Achievement in New York, because he said if the Bell system doesn't take it over, it's liable not to survive. So I did it for a year or two, and then New York Tel vice president did it for a couple of years, not a PR man in this case. And then Frank Carey, who was the chairman of IBM, took over. He could do more than any of us because he was the top man. But things like that were interesting. And
yeah.
But I got involved with the Public Relations Society. I got certified, you know, whichever that's, I don't think that was worth a lot. But you had on there a question, I remember on there about, do you call it communications or public relations?
Right.
My own feeling is public relations is a better term, because that's what we're trying to do. Communication, you know, that could be newsletters, it could be all kinds of little things. But everybody seems to be moving toward communication. But to me, public relations says it's public and it's out there, and that's what Arthur Page was talking about too. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with the press, with the public? You know, the Bell system always did a lot of work before rate cases to make sure the public understood the problem. We did a lot of that in our PR department when it was going to be bargaining, labor bargaining. We put some good stories in our house organs about how well people were doing that were in the bargaining unit. And, you know, it was just a good way to keep people posted on, you know, we're not starving to death, we're doing well, and bargaining's coming up. We didn't say anything about that, but it all tied together a little bit because there was a public feeling about it, or an employee feeling. You know, we had 210,000 employees at Western Electric at its height, which is a lot of folks.
That is.
Yeah. In fact, at one time when I was treasurer of the company, we had the 5th largest pension fund in the United States because of all these people. And I enjoyed that. That sort of was good training because we'd meet with the people that were investing our pension money, the bankers, people like that. So you learn a lot about dealing with people that way. So even though you didn't have a PR background in a sense, that was always very helpful, I think.